Welcome, everybody. This is Lisa Tomizana-Bell from Prolific Press. I'm so happy to welcome Jim Krosschell today. He's talking to us from Maine, where he's kind of hanging out for the summer. Lucky him. It's going to be nice and cool there. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
So great to have you here. And we're celebrating the publication of Afield, your poetry collection that for me is absolutely beautiful, and I'm sure that everyone who's received it feels the same way. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're in Maine. You have a little of a transient life, somewhat.
Yeah,
So um,
yeah.
how's it been?
I guess the first thing to know is that I'm a Midwest boy who quite eagerly transplanted himself to New England quite a few years ago. I love New England, and so we've been here like 50 years, so it's been a while.
Wow.
And you're right about restlessness. I think the most important, one of the proudest things of my life is that I didn't get a real job until I was 29.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot
Wow.
of moving and travel and graduate school and Peace Corps. And my parents were, what should we say, itinerant Christian school principal types. So we moved around a lot in the Midwest. Whenever my dad got the call to go to a new school, we moved. So yes, there's a bit of restlessness in my background. Um,
Well, I guess
uh,
I could relate to that because I'm a military brat
oh,
and
well,
we
that's the same
traveled
thing.
everywhere. And
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
but we landed in the Midwest finally after all the years of moving around in Illinois and Iowa. We bounced back and forth between those two states. So,
All right. Yeah. I didn't live in Iowa. I lived in Illinois for graduate school, but being Dutch, Iowa was a special place for us.
yes,
Lots of
until,
Dutch Calvinists in Iowa.
yes, you have that in common with my husband being Dutch,
Yes,
yes.
yes. So yeah. So I guess the really important thing for me is that I love Maine. We started. I think it started when I was 12 when my family made a visit to my uncle, who was a professor at Bowdoin College. And if you've ever been to Brunswick, Bowdoin College is a great place, first of all, and it's right next to one of the world's great beaches, Popham Beach. And he had a 150-year-old farmhouse on a river. And so it was like a trifecta of amazing things to experience when you're 12. So that kind of incubated for a while until the 80s when my wife and I finally bought some property in Maine as a vacation thing. So, and we've been coming ever since.
Wonderful, wonderful. I was in Maine. It's been 30 years ago now. I went there. It was a dream of mine to go there one day. It was my first solo trip,
Where did you
just on
go?
my own. Um, I stayed at Southwest Harbor, Maine.
Yes, yeah.
It's not too far from Bangor, and not Bangor, but Harbor. And I spent a lot of time just walking around in that area, doing a little bit of hiking. Being by myself, I didn't want to go too far out, um, but enjoyed the environment around there a lot. And I would just get in the car and drive all over, and then went out on a whale watch and
Mhm.
um, just loved it out there. I thought it was a lot of fun. And stayed in a bed and breakfast, and that was really nice. So,
Yeah, I mean, Acadia is I think my favorite place in the world, pretty much. And we're now about only 50 minutes from it. So we go frequently. Not
this
in the
is
summer necessarily because it's very busy, but off season,
yes.
it's
It does get busy in the summer.
yeah.
What really fascinated me, and I will never forget this. It was so beautiful. Was when I was in the water swimming. Well, of course, it was really cold, but
Yeah.
I could look down and see fish, swim around, amongst the swimmers, and the clear water just blew me
Yeah.
away. I mean, I came from the area of the muddy Mississippi River, and so um, to see that clear water was just wow, amazed me.
Yeah, and the clear air too.
Yes, yes, very clear air. Um, you didn't really have an air conditioner in the bed and breakfast. You didn't need one, and it was just lovely. So, yeah, I have fond memories of that trip. I hope to one day go back there. I don't know if I will or not, um, but yeah, went out on a canoe by myself, went around in circles for a while with the ducks. It was a lot of fun. But enough about me. So, besides writing, do you have any hobbies?
I can't say I have hobbies. I guess unless you consider a daily walk a hobby, a necessity. I call it a necessity, not a
Yeah.
hobby. We used to do more hiking, but now that we're a little older, we don't do a lot of hiking anymore. But the daily walk is part of the program.
Yeah.
But writing has been the focus for a long time since I was in high school, actually. So that kind of consumed all of my spare time.
So that's when you started becoming more interested in writing, was in high school?
Yeah, yeah, in high school. And I think it's all because I was a big reader. Had a relatively quiet boyhood, even lonely sometimes. So books were a real salvation. So we would go to the library in Minnesota, and my mom said, "You can only take 10 books out this week." So reading got me going. Obviously, any writer who's good is a reader as well, I think.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and I read fiction entirely, and I still read almost entirely fiction, maybe as an escape, um, but with a little poetry thrown in here and there. But fiction, fiction, fiction. And I was a writer of fiction too, and a failed writer of fiction for 30 years until I got the message. I said, "This ain't going to work." But the whole issue is to keep writing, right? Just to keep going.
Exactly. Keep
Publishing
going
is
and
great.
learning.
Yeah, publishing is great. It's a great feeling. It's a wonderful rush, but the real thing is to keep going and keep going, keep doing it.
Now, was Man Afield your first poetry collection to be
Yeah,
published?
I sort of wrote poetry off and on through my life, mostly in kind of times of crisis, which is not a good time to write poetry, quite frankly. Then I'd go back to writing fiction. Um, but when I retired uh, well, gosh, when was that? 2008. I got to spend much more time in Maine and got much more involved in the natural world, the more than human world, I'd like to
Mhm.
say. And then that's when I sort of forsook fiction and started to write personal essays to really understand what the natural world was about and what we were doing to it and how I felt being in it, how I felt as a human being in the natural world. So I wrote essays for a long time and published two collections in the past, and a lot of individually published essays. But then I don't know, the pandemic had something to do with it because in 2020 I started to write poetry too, and now exclusively do so. And so after publishing a lot of poems in little magazines, they seemed to collect pretty nicely. So I decided to do so. And yes, this is my first collection.
And a lovely one in that. I really have enjoyed working with this book and reading the poems. And as we all know, when you edit, you read the poems several times.
Yes.
And so that's an advantage. I call that a perk of the profession.
Isn't it?
And
Yeah.
as you have a publishing background, you know what I'm talking about. So,
Yes. Yes. And my wife too are both publishers, have publishing backgrounds. And I should tell you, she is my first and best and only reader.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great to have that feedback.
Yeah.
Really is. Is she also a writer?
Yeah, she is a writer. She does short stories.
Short stories. I'll have to. Does she have some published story collections?
Yes, she has. Yes, she has some stories out there. Yeah.
I need to go check her out. I love short stories and short story collections. And of course, that's one of the other things that we like to publish in. So I'm interested. I have to take a look at her work. Um,
Yes. Yeah. You can Google her and you'll find it.
And what is her name?
Cynthia Dockrell, Dockrell.
I will look into her work. I
Yeah,
look
so I
forward
feel
to it.
that I'm kind of like a collaborative poet because she really does a great job editing my stuff.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And if you were to describe your collection, Man of Field, in a few words, what would you say it's about?
Well, I think it's about pure joy in nature, pure sorrow at its destruction, and then some sort of weird interstitial comments about what's in between and how we joy and mourn at the same time.
I think that's a very perfect description of your book. Well, I would love to hear your poetry. I was wondering if you would like to share with us some of your poems.
Sure. So the book is divided into a number of sections. It's kind of like a little road trip through nature. But you should know I'm really just a backyard naturalist. I'm not a real scientist who goes out and does adventure travel and scientific travel. I just like to observe and watch. And so the book is in sections. They start off on the deck, they go to the yard, they go to the woods, they go to the shore, they go to the sea, end up a little spacey out in the space, and they come back home. So let me read you a couple of pit stops along the way.
Okay.
Here's a poem called Bird Baiting. It doesn't really hum, more a buzz. It cannot be a bird, more like a bee. Misnamed impossibility, then this jewel flying backwards that startles me each time it bombs the red glass flower, then stops, hovers, sips liquid donuts from plastic petals, all of which I furnished so I can be interrupted from ennui and reverie and hijack its wildly beating heart. So yes, I love birds,
Me too.
especially hummingbirds. Their
Yes.
hummingbirds are amazing.
I have
So
the birds visit on my right beside my office window. They come out here and do a little show for me every day. So I
yeah,
love
isn't
it.
that great? Yeah, they're a delight of the world. So the next poem, I'll just take you to the woods a bit. And the poem is called Whose Woods These Are. Warm light is dappling down, and moss and ferns shine bright. I feel no loss of darkened brush or tangled vine, those deep and icy woods of frost. Whose woods these are, I know. They're mine and yours. Out front there is a sign that says these lands are held in trust. A human promise that's divine, more prized than any Bible verse. And so, Magog, parade your worst, while for an hour we walk and smell the trees, not tar, not car exhaust, until we leave to drive pell-mell through miles of Walmart, Ford, and Shell, and pray the unborn will rebel against such messengers from hell. So, yeah, so a big part of my time in retirement has been working with conservation issues, land trust organizations, and really trying to protect land from developments. Best job I have ever had in my life.
Yes. Very
Great.
important job.
And the people are just amazing because they're so committed, and it's a wonderful, wonderful organization. So I've been involved with two of them now, Coastal Mountains Land Trust in Camden, and now here on the island of Deer Isle, Island Heritage Trust. So I love it. So that's partly why this poem exists. And give a little shout out to Land Trusts.
Exactly. Wonderful. We need more
And then they left the,
conservationists.
yeah, it's great, isn't it? So the last one is on the shore, a poem called Green Man. Another oak has fallen on the shore. There he lies beside his brothers, splayed on beds of gravel, rockweed, boulders, sand, and a great new hole is torn in the bank above, of shifting, friable, glacial moraine. Through 60 years of questing, I have looked to trees for strength. Above all, this particular glorious line of fathers, pagans, spirits, whose green and noble heads sway with tales of death and birth. He's fallen, yet will live, for high tides lap his bits of limb and leaf, skin and heart, into the forever sea. I wish he could have walked and I be rooted. So yeah, so that's a taste of the poems, and I hope people like them.
Exactly. And if people are interested in your book, they can go to prolificpost.com and / your name, Jim
Yep.
Krosschell, and get it there or on any online stores. So what's next on your writing agenda?
Well, I think I mentioned we just recently moved to the island here, Deer Isle. I'm entranced with the place, um, and I'm thinking of writing I'm well into writing a little collection of poems about the island.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah,
I look forward to reading it.
yeah. Thank you.
Jim, do you have any parting thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think I always people ask me how I do things and how I write and what's my advice, and I think there's a million ways to do it, but I would say that obviously you keep yourself open to experience. But I think if one of the big problems with writing is that you get stuck and you just can't face the page and you sit there and look at it. But my advice is to have several things going at once so that you can go back to the ones or two or three that's in progress and start to edit. And that really gets me going. Then I can put that aside and go on to something new. So that's my advice to people who are struggling with writing.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for coming on here today. I
Yep.
hope you have a wonderful summer and a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, and thank you for being a terrific publisher. The book is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'm only as good as the people who write the poetry. So it's
Well, thank
teamwork,
you.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. You take
All
care.
right. Thank you. Bye.